I'm Damon on Joppa Radio, 96.3 FM in Newburyport. And our guest is Stu Steinberg from E-Rock Tax in Newburyport. Stu, good morning to you.
Good morning, Win. It's Wednesday. For so long, I was Tuesday. Now it's Wednesday, so I got to get used to the whole midweek thing here.
We can go back to Tuesday if you want.
No, I like Wednesday. Here at Joppa Radio, I like it.
Yeah. Different station, different day. It all works out well for me.
It's all the same thing, local. It's all about helping out the local community, right?
Oh, I know. But you know, one thing that never changes is there are bad people out there doing bad things.
Right. So this is unfortunate. We have to talk about this again. But, you know, with this recent breach of Equifax with 100 and some odd million people, you know, what I'm going to tell you to do as a main tip to prevent, you know, identity theft, the first thing I'm going to do is to tell you to pull a credit report.
Oh, yeah.
And here we go. Equifax is one of the three bureaus, and, you know, they have a huge breach themselves. But what we need to do is really, you know, keep a close eye on a lot of things that some of us may not be doing. So first thing, yes, you're legally entitled to have one free credit report from each of the three main credit bureaus: TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So Equifax is the company that had the big hack, but the other two didn't, supposedly. So go right away and get your free report from Experian and or TransUnion, and we'll see if anything has come up on it from the Experian hack.
Oh, okay.
From the Equifax hack. Do you follow me?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's go. So in theory, if there wasn't a hack, you could go every 4 months and get a new credit report from one of the three agencies. So you're constantly testing it a few times a year to make sure that you're not being hacked for too long, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so yeah, with the three credit reports. You could do it every 4 months.
Every 4 months, you get a free one. So that we recommend that, obviously, right away. Even though there's been a hack, you get right on it with the other two to figure out if you've been breached and what to do from there, obviously. Keep a close eye on your bank and credit card statements. I don't know about you, but they're calling now sometimes out of the blue where you get a hold on your card and then you get the call from them. There seems to be a strange charge where I'd rather have them do that than as a way to protect.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're doing that. But absent that, you should be checking your cards and checking online from a secure connection, not from a Starbucks. That's not secure. So I'm just unbelievably shocked still when I see people in public connections all over the place. That is just the number one crime you could possibly commit. Potentially, you're just leaving yourself open for anybody who has even remotely savvy with computers can now you're giving them full access to your computer. So please don't do that. Okay. Yeah, it's very, the technology. Someone could be sitting in Starbucks searching your computer. That's pretty much, if you're on the public airwaves, someone who knows what they're doing. I don't know. That's not my job, but my job is to protect you.
So if you go to Starbucks, read the paper.
No, just go. You can use your phone as a hotspot.
Oh,
so
okay.
this is a hotspot right here.
Yeah.
You can. So of course, applicable rates apply.
But I thought that they could hack into your phone too.
They could do that. It's going to be harder than if you just leave the door wide open and go on to the password protected Wi-Fi where they tell you, hey, the password is password 1. So that doesn't do a whole lot of good. But just be really careful. Or what I have, obviously, I have sensitive data.
Yeah.
I have a little clip that I plug in, so that's where I'm getting my high speed from. If I go to a public spot, I'm not getting it from the public spot.
Oh,
of course, I pay for that, but it's
yeah.
It's the best expense I could pay for. I go to the client's workplace, I meet at a Whole Foods, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm secure, as secure as I can be because I'm using my own private network.
Yeah, I get it.
Shred everything that you don't use, even the envelopes. You're told to shred as much. So, in other words, let's say you use, Capital One, and you throw out the Capital One envelope. That's just another piece of material that someone who could be a bad guy, like you said, could be looking and see that. So shred all the stuff that you're not using, including stuff the envelopes that you may not think that would cause any problem.
Like somebody wants to give you a credit card, shred that too?
Sure. I would shred it just as much.
Yeah.
As much as you possibly can, or just make sure it gets into the proper bin when it goes to the recycling bin.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't share personal information on social media or networking. Keep your security settings high. Change your passwords. Use a complicated password, not like password 1. Remember, that's not a good one.
How about 1Password?
Yeah, don't just use 1Password. Use a smart password and avoid obvious passwords, kids' names and dates of birth. Try to avoid that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
don't, and back to this unsecured, people actually make financial transactions over these unsecured networks. Like they buy something from Amazon or wherever and they type in their credit card number and they're on an open network. No, I'm just saying these are things that people are doing, and we're finding this out. So I want to prevent everybody out there from having that happen. So, obviously,
yeah. Think twice and then think again. Right?
And one thing I learned, I know we talked about this in the spring, I believe. When you're shopping online, you should use a credit card and not a debit card. Credit card companies are real, like I said, they're tracking, they're making phone calls in advance, and the credit may not be readily there, whereas the debit, if there's money in the account, that money could be gone, and then you can't get it back that fast.
I get it. Okay.
So be careful there.
Yeah.
People use P.O. Box, lockbox, secure your mail, just even simple things like that where people can drive by and go get your mail out of a mailbox at the end of the street. So it's not the old days anymore. We just have to take these steps, and as many as we can, to try to prevent the bad guys from getting a hold of us. And again, sorry we have to talk about this, but I think it's important to go over it again to make sure that maybe someone will take a step to get a little more secure along the way.
Yeah. Well, if you can save one person.
Hey, one step at a time, right?
Yeah.
One step at a time.
I just can't imagine. So if something does happen, something goes wrong, what do you do?
The first thing I would do is go pull a credit report with TransUnion and or Experian. Those are the two companies that weren't hacked. Then you'll find out right away what's going on, if anything at all. These companies also provide a service where they monitor the dark web.
Yeah, what is the dark web?
I mean, I've read a couple books on it, and I'm still not exactly sure.
Oh, okay.
When you're searching Google, you're only searching maybe, 10 to 20% of the web. Everything else is hidden behind all sorts of stuff. And that's where your credit cards could be traded. And that's where all the rogue stuff's going on behind the scenes on the dark web. Yeah.
Oh,
we don't want to know about that. We don't want to know about that.
No. Oh my dear. That's I've been hearing more and more about the dark web. I thought everything was on Google. I guess not.
No. Google, well, that's the whole thing, is Google's picking to choose what it wants to show up there. There's a whole book, what is Google and how does it work? Yeah. I'll bring it to you. You should read it.
Yeah,
they know this conversation's happening right now, somehow. Don't ask me how, but they know it. Seriously. So, wow. All right. Well, there you go. I hope if you've been a victim, or if you haven't, check the other two credit bureaus, and just be vigilant with some of the stuff to give yourself the best chance to not have identity theft. And take care of your elders too. We've had a couple of those over the last 5 years or so. Clients' parents or relatives. And they lost a few grand. They fell scams. The IRS is not going to call you on the phone unless you've set up a prior arrangement with a specific person. I mean, just be aware, and yes, take care of the generation that came before us, because those are the people that have a higher chance to have identity theft. Even though they're not going online, their stuff is still not secure like other people's is.
Yeah. Now, what about your children? Should you check their identity?
You're absolutely right. Yeah. When you should. You could use a LifeLock. I don't buy stock or any of these companies. These are companies out there. You can Google, what company do I use that will monitor. There's LifeLock. There's a whole bunch of. There's not a whole bunch, but there's the ones that will actually monitor the Social Security number. Yeah. My daughter, who's 12, could have had a number stolen if it wasn't being checked fairly regularly. That's what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's tough business out there, Win.
Oh, my gosh, it certainly is. All right, well, Stu, I want to thank you for scaring the bejeebers out of us.
It's funny, last week we talked about taxes and paying taxes, and you're not nearly as scared as you were this week talking about identity theft. So
no, they're more crooks than...
I'll lighten it up, and we'll bring someone in. I'll find someone to come in who's a local business owner. We can talk about some fun stuff involving Newburyport next week to light it up a bit. Okay?
That's right. Yeah, I remember one time you brought somebody up. They were looking to... I guess they had put in a bid for that property over by the wastewater treatment plant.
Sure, it's going forward.
On facility. So
yeah.
Did they award that yet?
Tom's going forward with that project down by the water. Yeah, to lease the 99-year lease of the building down there and bring a business into town. Yeah, 25 employees, something like that.
All right. So it is finalized then, or
I mean, you'll have maybe as far as I know, it's moving forward. But then there's bank agreements, and there's all sorts of stuff beyond our control that we have to wait to see it all fall into place.
Yeah. Well, that certainly would be exciting. But yeah, bring in anybody that you want to bring in. That would be great.
We'll do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Then, indeed, that's Stu Steinberg from E-Rock Tax and New Report. He's our guest this morning here on Joppa Radio 96.3 FM.